Fear is false evidence appearing real. That was the thing my mother used to say to me all the time when I was younger. And I thought, why are you telling me that? That's not true. I'm afraid. And then I would look at her and I would think, well, you still seem to be afraid. Why are you telling me this? But that was a different generation and she must have known something. And so I said, let me see what she's talking about. But it didn't help me because most of my life I was moving through fear. I was afraid of everything from the time I was a child. And so I understood something though about that because I started to see that was everyone's problem. Because if we're all born with these great abilities and talents and skills and all of that, why would we have fear? And I began to discover it because we're afraid of ourselves. That's what happens. Because we have all of these gifts, we have all this ability, but we also have the unknown. And so we don't want to go into that unknown. That's why we hold back. So if everybody could just like really understand that they had everything that they needed and could move through the fear, wouldn't that make things better? See, because that's what we move through in our world as well. We will fear other people because that they're unknown to us, and then we continue to fear ourselves. And see, I began to discover this because the fear was the thing that kept my life in shambles continually. And it kept me sick, kept me getting ill all the time. But then it all cleared up. I go, how did that happen? I decided to move beyond my fear. So then what I did was I released a book called Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom. That was really challenging too, because I was afraid of that, because I thought people are going to really judge me because this doesn't even make sense. How could I receive this information and heal my life and do all these things? That didn't make sense. So I had this fear of putting the book out because everybody's going to judge me. Same thing happened when I did my program because I said, I know that I've created something that could take anyone to live this wonderful life and be happy. But then because they have that fear, they're not going to believe me either. And that's exactly what happened. Because see, it's that unknown. How could I possibly create this great life? How could I possibly move through all these troubles and all these difficulties and all these challenges that I've had? How could I possibly heal all of these illnesses, all of these diseases? How could I get over this stuff? How could I heal my relationships? Yeah, I did all of that. And so now I'm 73 and all that stuff is gone. And so I decided I have to change because that's me not moving into the unknown of who I am. And that because what else could I do? How much more could I create? How much more could I accomplish? How long could I live if I've done all of this? See, but that's not the only reason that I had this because I'm also supposed to give it to others. That's what we all do. We don't know the lives that we're going to live when we come in, but then when we figure it out, when we discover it, we can give it to others because that's how evolution happens. And I've talked about that so often. But I had talked about I'm changing my program on Monday. And so I thought maybe I'll give people a little better idea of this because I'm not going to keep doing the stuff that I've been doing all of these years. And so I'm going to make this change. So I decided to do a free presentation tomorrow called How to Live Your Best Life. And I know that it's within you because we all have it, but it's just a process that we have to move through in our consciousness. That's all. And that consciousness changes over time. I'm talking about an evolution. We know about mindset and all kinds of things that are developed. Well, I developed something else because it's a different time in our world and we change. So that's when that happens, a new philosophy came through, and that's what I have. So the presentation tomorrow is going to be wonderful, and I hope you can attend. It's free. You can just register. I'll leave a link here so you can get it. And you don't have to be there. I'm going to send the replay to everyone because I want you to have it, because I want you to know what's possible for you because I've done it. And that's what I'm going to give back to others. And when we understand that we have consciousness that we can always access, we also can understand we don't do it all at once. I didn't do this all at once. I started receiving this information in 1989. And so it was a progression over time. You do the same thing. And then collectively, our consciousness that exists in the world, our collective consciousness does the same thing. But if you go to my site, Any Advice for Today, you'll see this message, but I'll show it to you today, right now, so you can get a sense of this. because over the years there's an alignment in the universe. We may not understand that always, but science is telling us that. I figured out a lot of it, and I'm going to do a lot more of it because over time we discover who we are. And so this morning I was still write this. Fear can be your friend. And then go back to 20 to 2023. Your fear is self-imposed. It is. And we know that over time. And then you can read all of this because it talks about the book that I wrote when I released it. But then if we go back to 2012, because that's when most of this information was coming through that was meant to be, that's I'm using in the work, in the program, and then you will understand fear is the root of any limitation you might experience in your life. And that I know is true after 35 years of coaching people, I mean, constantly. I knew that fear was the only thing that was holding them back, and it was the only thing that held me back as well. And so now we have to move, and that's what I'm doing. And I hope you do the same thing as well. But you can check out my work. If this is your first time coming to this channel, please subscribe and share it with others. I want you to move beyond your fear so you can live the life you're supposed to have, because that's the only thing that's holding you back. And I know this because I've lived it. And now that's what I'm giving to others. All right. See you guys soon.